Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024, another edition of One True Sport Daily. Ryan Droste here with my guy, Zack Heydorn. I mean, he's truly remote today. Look at this guy, Hollywood Zack Heydorn, calling into One True Sport. Zack, how you doing, man?
Oh man, doing good. Just navigating the streets of Chicago this morning, and taking care of some day job business. Has me a little displaced, but you know what? The show must go on, and I'm here to talk a little wrestling with you and with everybody else here on 1TS Daily. So pumped to be here, and day job be damned, man.
Incredible stuff. Now, this is dedication. This is what you get here. One True Sport, guys. You can support what we do each and every day here by leaving us a super chat throughout the show. If you want to get featured in the show, if you have a question for Zack or myself, we'll get to those at the end of the broadcast. But again, always the best way to support us. And if you want to support One True Sport, make sure you subscribe to the channel while you are here. Hit that like button. That helps us out a lot, pushes us in the algorithm, gets this show out to new viewers each and every time. And then you can find more of Zack's work. You see it down there at the bottom of the graphic, Brass Ring Media. That's the best place to find his work, written work, daily podcasts on their YouTube channel. Check it out. And you can find me over here at Top Rope Nation, right there. Search YouTube. You can find us also wherever podcasts are found. Absolutely. Good morning, Eddie. I see the chat room is starting to liven up here a little bit. You guys, let us know what you thought of WWE Raw last night. I think we'll start with WWE Raw, and then we're going to hit a little bit on some of the rumors this morning about AEW and a possible TV deal with WBD. So we'll get to all of that here in a little bit. But Zack, Raw was about 3 hours straight north of you, up in one of your favorite cities in the country, Green Bay, Wisconsin. And I know our mutual friend Brian was there, and he was tweeting throughout the show. And yesterday here on the broadcast, I talked about how Green Bay often does not have very good wrestling crowds, but they were pretty lively, I would say, at least for the first half of this show. And maybe the second half of the show, WWE didn't give them as much reason to be into it. But what was your general thoughts on what we saw last night on the USA Network?
Man, yeah, I just thought overall it ended up being a pretty flat show, except for a few kind of key storyline developments, which I'm sure we'll get to. I thought the first 90 minutes, really up until the CM Punk Drew stuff, and even a little bit right after that, I thought the crowd was into it. I thought the show was humming along nicely. But man, that back 90 minutes, it really was a bit of a slog to get through, harder than usual, or in terms of the recent past of 3-hour Raws. It just didn't have, I don't think it had that main event hook that Raw has had, the last, month or so, with some just really, truly important main events. This was a random tag match thrown together on the show. And, look, they have 52 weeks of television to do. You're not going to have home run main events every single week. I get that, but boy, yeah, you felt it. You felt it this week for sure. So I think Raw overall had some hits, had some misses, but I was a bit tired toward in that back half.
Yeah, same, very much the same. I was watching it on delay. I was chatting with you a little bit back and forth as I was watching it, and by the time I got to the end hour for sure of the show, I was kind of tuned out. So we're going to hit the bigger talking points here, and I think one of the big ones to talk about right away, and something we've been talking about for a couple of weeks, is this kind of slow turn of Damian Priest into making him a babyface. And when he came out at the beginning of the show, they had Gunther out there, and then they did this face-off where Priest came out, and it came across on TV like Priest got a massive response from the crowd. And I know you were talking to Brian, which I said was one of our mutual friends who was in attendance, and he talked about how the pop was super loud too. I mean, your thoughts of this face-off, the crowd getting behind Damian Priest?
Man, really, really good stuff. I mean, going into this whole thing, Damian Priest versus Gunther, you just couldn't help but feel like, really, like, this is going to be a world title main event match or so, at SummerSlam. It just didn't really have any juice, when they first kind of got there, and Gunther was kind of holding down the spot for like a long time since winning the King of the Ring, and he's just destined for that SummerSlam title opportunity. But the real question was Damian Priest, and I think he's come along pretty nicely so far as this budding babyface. And while I think he plays a big role in that, to me, like, the success of this so far rests on the shoulders of Gunther. That guy just, I mean, he is so believable when he's in the ring. He can articulate like kind of the truth of his character, being like this guy that respects the ring and respects the sport, but also just has just disdain for anybody that doesn't do pro wrestling the way he does, or the way he thinks it should go. And he is able to like transfer that to baby faces. And I think, he's worked with a lot of baby faces throughout that IC title run, and he's got a track record now of really making strong baby faces opposite him. And he's not out there to like be like a fun heel that kind of gets cheered and kind of gets laughed at. Like, I think he generally wants to be hated and disliked, and that investment on his part really helps somebody like Damian Priest, who's just come into his own. I mean, there's a clear line drawn here. Good guy, bad guy, guy who's calling everybody else street trash, and the guy who's going to stand up for the audience and the people. And I think Damian Priest is a really good face of that right now. He showed fire yesterday. I like that he came out and just punched Gunther right in the mouth. Like, we're not going to do a word battle here. It's like, you talk trash about me again, and like, all right, now we're going to handle business. So I think it's going really well. I think it's stronger than I expected it to be at this point, and I just think Gunther like should get a lot of credit for that, and just shows how much value he has to the show and to the company if they keep going with him the way that they are.
Yeah, I mean, well said. I don't have a whole lot to add. I mean, I agree completely. I think that we saw Gunther just really, really heal it up on the crowd. As you mentioned, he called them street trash. I think he might have made a reference to trailers at one point in time or something.
Yeah.
I mean, he really got them going. And then, this slow burn with this turn of getting people behind Damian Priest, and he comes out and gets that massive response. And you're right, they get into that hot brawl. Crowd is super into it. And I mean, I have to give him credit too, because I mean, going into this, we've seen this kind of on the horizon for 2 months, and I've been very, very skeptical that this would work, but they have got the crowd behind Priest, and I think you're exactly right. You got to give Gunther a lot of the credit for that. And so what I got to ask you is, as you look at this match now, a week and a half away at SummerSlam in Cleveland, does the way that this has played out and the crowd actually getting behind Priest a little bit here, does this make you waver at all on your pick that Gunther's going to win the title here on this opportunity, or are they going to drag it out a little bit? What are you thinking right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think no, it doesn't make me waver. Just to answer your question, like, I think in analyzing what's going on with this match, it's Gunther, right? I mean, and that's, again, it's not a knock on Damian Priest, just it's Gunther being Gunther and doing his thing. And so, yes, he's kind of elevating Priest, but Priest can't work with Gunther every day, every week, every show. So, he's got to be able to find that and maintain that on his own. I don't know that he can't do it. I just think that you're not going to want to sacrifice the momentum you have with Gunther in order to find out, like, to me, it's like, you've done, like, look, I mean, let's call a spade a spade. Damian Priest, this is like the highest of high end in terms of what you would have expected for his main roster run to look like. I mean, some celebrity stuff. He's kind of in a faction that he turned around, along with Rhea Ripley, that was floundering. Money in the Bank, world title, and not like just a one and done world title, but a summer worth of championship title defenses. Like this is a good run, and he's got the Judgment Day breakup to do after he loses the title, whether that's a feud with Finn Balor or wherever you go with it. But I just think that it's Gunther's time, and you just don't want to sacrifice what you have there to like protect Damian Priest. I just think Gunther is on a higher level still, and so be it. And I think you still go that way.
Yeah. Like you said, Gunther has been the obvious choice for quite a long time now. I mean, we're talking at the beginning of his IC title reign, we kind of all saw him as the eventual world champion. And so I agree with you. I mean, what we're seeing out of Damian Priest here has been really, really good, but you still got to go with the guy who's shown you for months and months and months that he's the dude, and that maybe it means that Priest gets another look down the line, which I mean, I think everyone would agree he should. He's grown into this role. We've talked a lot about on the show how over the last couple of months, especially when he got the title, it was very bizarre because he was kind of so far down the pecking order as far as who you would think would be world champion. And it felt like just they had to pay off Money in the Bank. And that's why they did it. And I think that's true. I think that is why they did it. But he has grown into the role. And then getting the crowd behind him has given them a totally new wrinkle on his trajectory long term. And so, I mean, I would expect him to be a world champion again down the line. But yeah, you look at Gunther and he's just a home run pick. And and then, you also look at the situation of how many top level baby faces you have on Raw to go up against a heel champion. That's another factor here because if you have a baby face world champion, it's a little more dire on the heel side for challengers, like we've seen over on SmackDown, for example. So I mean, I think it'll be an interesting dynamic to have that heel champion. Then you can have Rollins chase down the line, you can have Punk chase down the line, you can come back to Damian and so on. So let's keep it with the Judgment Day here. So they also, of course, leaned into the build for Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley and all of the drama with Dominic last night. And you got the typical Dominic accidentally running into Liv backstage. And eventually Rhea gets really pissed and she essentially drags Dominic to the ring to handle this. And they have this promo segment where Liv Morgan's like up, at the top of the 100 level in the arena, like in the tunnel on the microphone, talking to Rhea and Dominic in the ring, kind of doing this back and forth. And basically, what it came down to is they leaned into the looks and how like, people like Dominic aren't interested in people like you. They're interested in people that look like me, and then Liv did this little spin, and what did you think about all this? Because I've seen people all over the map on social about this. Some people really didn't like that they leaned into the looks aspect of this. Where were you at on this, Zach?
So, man, I didn't make too much of the look aspect of it. That didn't impact me too much. I mean, I think that's just just a logical thing for like a heel Liv Morgan to say as a way to needle Rhea Ripley and as a way to like talk up Dom too. Like, Dom, you're so like attractive and good looking, like you deserve, whatever, to be with a woman like me. I think that's a more of a kind of tried and true heel line than it is like changing the tone of the feud to something more cosmetic like that. I don't think that's what they were going for. I still didn't like the segment though. I didn't like it for a different reason. I thought that to me, like Liv and Dom were and have been pretty obvious that like they're trying to pull one over on Rhea Ripley here. And I don't think you want a Rhea Ripley that's gullible and falling for that. Like if they go ahead and they turn on her at SummerSlam and Dom turns on her, it's like, all right, Rhea, like, you didn't see that coming. Like everybody saw that coming. Like you should have seen that coming too. Plus, like Rhea's character really shouldn't care about Dom. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like Dom is the toy. Dom is the boy toy that she's just running circles around and dragging here, dragging there. Like, and if he's not in, he doesn't want to be that, then okay, drop him with a riptide and move on. It's like I just don't the essence and like the dynamic of their relationship was never, oh, we really care about each other. It was, well, Dom cares about Rhea, but Rhea is just, tooling this this pathetic kind of figure around in Dominic Mysterio. And so to now pivot away from that and have Rhea like, okay, I want Dom. I want Dom, and I don't want Dom to be with Liv. It's like I don't think that that's true to kind of the dynamic between the two or Ripley's character. And I think we're going to see that all come to a head at SummerSlam. Now, I don't know that this has any like long-term effect or impact on how over Rhea gets or stays. But I just think, it sometimes you just need to like go with what the audience is seeing. And to me, like they're seeing Liv and Dom just kind of tease Rhea, and I think Rhea should be able to see that and see through that and handle her business. So, for that reason, I didn't like what they did yesterday. I thought they walked that line too closely. But we'll see how it goes. What did you think? I mean, am I off base? Like, am I reading that wrong?
No, the looks thing again, like that didn't bother me at all live. I see why people would complain about that and call it double standards. And I've seen stuff like wondering if any women are involved in writing this storyline and everything. I think though when you get someone like Liv Morgan out there, she knows exactly what she's doing when she's on TV. It is about looks, a lot of it with her.
Yeah.
And I mean that plays into her character that she would use that kind of argument against Rhea.
Yes.
And I agree with you that the whole idea has been that Rhea Ripley doesn't give a damn and she will just tell Dom to do whatever she wants. And he's just the toy, as you said. So the only way that she would even care if Dominic left would be like if she's become this just possessive person and
right.
not really like baby face maneuvering. So like, I know she's not really like a clear cut baby face. She's like a tweener. But clearly Liv is the heel in this scenario, and you're right. The long-term story should be that Rhea doesn't. I don't give a shit if Dominic goes with you, whatever. I just made him carry my bags, kind of thing. Yeah. So I thought they leaned a little bit too much into her caring so much about the Dominic thing and what Liv said about her and the looks and all of that. What did you think about Liv's acting when Dominic is let me just say, the worst actor out there, like by far. But when Dominic, he's delivering with a smile on his face, the line about how I hate you and you're so dumb and all that, and then Liv tried to kind of like work up tears and then she walked away. How do you think she did in that?
I mean, it like in the moment, like not great. Like I they looked like what I think they are in the end, which is like fake tears, and so I guess like after SummerSlam, if they do the turn, you can look back and go, oh well, yeah, I guess those are some pretty good fake, BS tears. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that's not what she was going for yesterday, and so I mean I don't think it's great. I don't think that's her strong suit. I don't think like Liv Morgan is not somebody that is going to go out there and successfully showcase this long range of emotions. I think she's been really good when she's just been in this position of just, okay, manipulate Dom, go in hard on him and, use that to like get at Rhea. Like, it's simple. Like it's pro wrestling. Like we're not looking for like Oscar worthy, performances here. And I just think you asked her to do too much. Like, yeah, I just think you asked her to do too much and she, is not really capable of that type of performance. Again, I don't think it's going to be something that like hurts this whole feud, but in the moment it's like, all right, yeah, this isn't good television.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it on the show before. We'll see where they go here, but I mean, I think the smart money is they drag this out and Liv retains at SummerSlam. That's exactly what I would do. I think you got to drag this out a couple of PLE cycles. So we'll talk more about it in the future. Let's finish up Raw with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, because these are kind of like the three cornerstones of what happened on Raw last night. So Punk makes his return, gets up there to Green Bay, and he comes out and basically immediately just says that he's been cleared, and he's ready. He was taping up his fist. He wanted to fight Drew last night. Drew comes out on the entrance ramp eventually, but he doesn't make his way down to the ring quite yet. We get Adam Pearce coming out there, and they announce that Drew has been reinstated to WWE Raw. And then they also revealed that Seth Rollins, just as we speculated, Zach, for a long time, will be the special guest referee for this match. And it's really interesting how, you look at the background here on our show, and I got, Steve Austin, and we got Bret Hart back there, my all-time favorite, Zach's all-time favorite. And we know Punk's all-time favorite is Bret Hart. And he just heavily leans into Bret Hart nostalgia with everything he does. Like, ever since he came back to AEW, he had spots in his matches right out of Bret Hart matches. And I mean, this is like, it's SummerSlam 97, is it not? I mean, it seems exactly what they're doing.
It does. It seems like exactly what they're doing. And, I got mixed feelings on it. Look, the callback is fun. That's for sure. Like, it's a cool callback, and that's exactly what they're trying to work with here. Last night, I thought Punk and Drew were good. I liked the tape in the fists. I thought that was like a really cool little detail to signal, like, hey, I'm ready to fight right now. Like, ultimate babyface opposite, like, Drew, who's, going to say, yeah, I want to fight, but just not today. Classic heel. So, like, that all worked. And on some level, like, I think, as we talked about yesterday, I think at some level, like, Seth as the special referee works because he's hovering around both these guys, and, this level of the card, in that world title picture, right? So he's around it, and he doesn't have a lot to do or anything else to do really at SummerSlam. The problem that I've got with this is, like, the personal, there's this deep personal issue with Punk and Drew. And now Seth's going to inevitably be involved in that deep personal issue because he's the special referee. And he's not going to be like a special referee in that match just to fade in the background, count the three, and have that be it. Like, he's going to get involved in this somehow, some way, a la SummerSlam, So, like, back then. So, like, I just think that, I get it. I get that Seth's around this. I get that this probably is not going to be, the last match between Drew and Punk either. I get that. It just seems to me that, much of this year, all of this year, has been about building to Drew and Punk and their showdown and their match. And I just kind of think that Seth has kind of just been nudged into this. And yes, again, they've got a backstory in place for it, but I still don't think it makes the match better. I think it's going to make the match at SummerSlam just a little more complicated and a little less focused on that personal feud that Punk and Drew have. So we'll see what they do, but I just don't know that this needed a third wheel right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would not have gotten Rollins involved in this match with Punk and McIntyre. Punk and McIntyre does not need it. Rollins is not really intertwined with this story. It's just kind of like they had these two plans for Punk when he came back, and at first he was going to wrestle Rollins at WrestleMania, and then the injuries screwed that up. And then McIntyre did a brilliant job playing up the heat between them and all the segments week to week going after Punk. And we know we got to get to both of these matches eventually, but it just seems like they're trying to put them all in there on one show when they don't need to be doing that. And like you said, Rollins is definitely going to play into the finish. He's not going to just be out there and call down the middle. Right. So, I mean, again, like, I wonder, is this going to play out exactly like SummerSlam 97, where, the referee was a babyface, Shawn Michaels, and then you had him inadvertently cost the Undertaker the match, the other babyface. And I would think going into this match that McIntyre should win because Punk has basically gotten one over on him every month since WrestleMania. So like, I mean, is the referee going to inadvertently cost Punk the match? And then are they going to go to Rollins and Punk just like they went to Taker and Shawn for a while, and then, you know, come back to Rollins or McIntyre and Punk? I mean, who knows? But I mean, it just feels like that's what we're destined to do, kind of the exact same thing. Because I imagine that McIntyre was going to win this match. And if you're going to factor in the special referee who's a babyface, you know, it would feel like he's going to inadvertently cost Punk, or maybe purposely cost him because he doesn't like Punk either, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, I think that we're going to see some kind of iteration of that. Maybe not exactly the way, you know, it went down at SummerSlam 97, but I think something similar is in the cards for sure. And then, because you got to think about like how the rest of this like year is going to unfold, like from a, you know, title perspective. Like, assuming Gunther wins the world title at SummerSlam, you know, Punk and Seth are going to be in line for title shots. Maybe Seth sooner than Punk, sooner than Drew. I don't know, but you know, I could see them going to like a not at this show, but like a triple threat, maybe for the Germany show. You know, Punk, Drew, Seth. You know, and then doing like a big blow off for Punk and Drew at like the Bad Blood show. You know, and then now you're already into like, you know, October, November period. So I mean, there's a lot of ways they can go on this. I just think it, you know, at SummerSlam, when this has been the focus, you know, just let it be the focus. Let it be the focus, and let them, you know, and do a finish. And here it's kind of like, all right, you know, something's going to go down. And I'm not even saying that something is going to be bad. It's just, you know, it's not going to settle an issue with Punk and Drew. I think people want to see that, and I'm still interested in the match. It's still one of the best built matches on the show. Still one of the best feuds that's going in WWE, and it's for that reason why you don't want Seth involved, because you just don't need him. And you know, it's like he's a special referee at SummerSlam. It's like, all right, just leave him off the card at that point. Like, it's not like, you know, like, I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, you would want to see Seth Rollins, one of the best workers in the company, wrestle at the second biggest show of the year. And
Right.
you know, we're not going to get that. So
yeah.
I mean, the other real cooking touch on this, and then we'll do AEW. The other thing on the show was, you know, Wyatt Six again. And they did transition in the pre-tapes this time to the Nikki Cross segment. She didn't really say anything. They just had this segment where like Bo was basically saying over and over to look at yourself, take a look at yourself. And she was kind of just looking at the camera and moving her head around and stuff. So we didn't get kind of like the sit down segment we've had with the other guys with Bo and Rowan so far. But we did get an appearance, you know, out in the ring again, coming after Gable. And, you know, they played up the former Alpha Academy, the new Gable team, and he was trying to get them to work together. And then out comes Wyatt Six. And we got the Sister Abigail by Bo Dallas to Chad Gable, and the crowd popped massively for that move. What did you think of how this was handled?
Oh, man. I mean, that Sister Abigail was so cool to see, like his brother, you know, what Bray's brother do it. That was just cool. Like, it's just kind of like this, I don't know, full circle but sad moment at the same time. So I thought that was really cool. I like the Nikki Cross thing. I don't think every video that they do to kind of introduce these characters has to exactly be the same. And I think, you know, everything we've seen from Nikki Cross so far is just total creepiness. That's it. That's what you want to like get over there. And I thought the video like did its part to showcase that with her. So yeah, so I think I thought that was good. And you know, I think Uncle Howdy in the ring dropping Chad Gable was fine. Again, it had the backdrop of bells and whistles and smoke and darkness and the fireflies and things of that nature. And so they still have one more card to play in the game of getting them into the ring. And so they've got to keep that in mind, that like once you have a match with them, like bells and whistles should go away. Like all that production stuff needs to go away. And these guys and Uncle Howdy, Bo Dallas, they've got to be able to survive in that environment. So, I think it remains to be seen, as far as grading that. But last night, I thought it was another good night for the Wide Six altogether.
Yeah. And I should also know Braun Breaker became the number one contender for the IC title, just like we talked about on the show yesterday, Zach. We thought, Breaker would wreak havoc, and he did last night. Now, the match with Ilya Dragunov was a stoppage. So essentially, they did the spot on the outside where Breaker gave him a midair spear, and Ilya's like head hit the ring apron, and the referee called the match off. So that's how Breaker won. And then there was a spot backstage where Sami Zayn was doing a backstage promo, and he heard an attack going on, and Judgment Day, Balor and McDonough were attacking Jey Uso, and that set up the main event, which was a tag where Zayn and Uso wrestled Balor and McDonough. And in that match, Zayn and Uso won, but then Breaker came out at the end of the show and he attacked Sami Zayn. And Breaker's kind of the standing tall at the end of the show. So
no surprise there, right? I mean, I think this is where this whole thing was trending. I like the Dragunov Breaker match quite a bit. I mean, it wasn't necessarily a who's who of good matches yesterday on Raw, but that one is one that I'd go out of your way to check out. Dragunov has been able to have good matches with Braun Breaker, even more so than Sami Zayn was at the last pay-per-view. So good night for him. And certainly not the last time you're going to see Braun Breaker close out Raw in his career.
Yeah, definitely. All right, real quick before we get off the air here, there's some reporting out there this morning that AEW and Warner Brothers Discovery might have a deal in place for TV. I don't want to go too hard into this because I'm only seeing it from one account. And to be real honest with you, the reporting is something that anybody could deduct just based on what's been out there already. I mean, the report just says that like they've got a deal in place, but nothing is signed. So it's not really official. So, I mean, there's that plausible deniability if it doesn't happen. There's really nothing to the report, Zach, that we haven't already known. We've known they've been talking. We've known that AEW content showed up on Max internationally, and people were wondering if that had anything to do with a possible deal being reached. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, I think in the end, we've all kind of expected them to re-sign with Warner Brothers Discovery. We all know that, the NBA's TV deal is going to play into this a little bit. I saw some stuff out there that they were going to match NBC's offer. So we're not going to hear anything official until the NBA deal is totally solidified. But I did want to mention this because there was that one report out there. But until we see this from a lot more major reporters, I don't want to go too hard into it because, again, like I said, I could have put this report together based on what we've already known. Yeah. It very well might be true that they have an agreement in principle. And I do expect AEW to re-sign there long term. But any thoughts on this report that was floating out there this morning?
I have always just operated on the assumption that I think AEW is going to land there still, and that's the future of their TV deal. And the question will really be for them, like, all right, did they get like $1 billion like they wanted, or did they settle for something else, or how much did they improve on the last TV deal? Like that's really the key. But I mean, the fact that it's July and that deal's up at the end of the year, and you haven't, like, by all accounts, pitched any other potential suitors, you pretty much have like put yourself in a position where you only have one buyer, and that's Warner Brothers Discovery. So to me, like, that just tells me that they're gonna get something done. And the main issue is like this NBA deal, and once that shoe drops, then AEW will factor into whatever happens coming out of that NBA deal. So I'm not surprised that they've got a deal done in principle. and if that does bear out to be true, great. I just think it's pretty much a one man show with Warner right now, and honestly, I think that's what you want if you're AEW. You know, I mean, like that's their partner. That's like they're part of their brand, part of their DNA since the beginning. You know, unless somebody else was gonna. I mean, obviously, if somebody else was gonna come in and Amazon was gonna be like, hey, we're gonna offer you, 10 times what Warner is offering, or even 3 times what they're offering. All right, yeah, you definitely want to consider that. But without any other strong suitors pursuing you, stay the course. Make it easy for your audience to find you. Build that. Use the TNT and TBS platform to find other viewers and grow viewership that way. Like that to me is an obvious call here. So not surprised to hear any of this, and just waiting now for the numbers to come in, because I mean that's the real story.
Yeah. And Eddie's right here in the chat. I misspoke that Warner Brothers Discovery matched the Amazon offer, not the NBC deal. I misspoke on that. That's right, Eddie. Thank you for that. And yeah, I mean, he's right. The NBA deal is prime. That is the number one deal for WBD. Once that domino falls, then we'll get the AEW deal. I mean, AEW is not going to get everything they asked for. I mean, this is how negotiations go. They're going to ask super high. They're not going to get that much. They will get a rights increase, though. I mean, I would be stunned if they didn't get a rights increase. And despite all the the talk about their ratings and ratings going down and all of that, they still rank very highly on cable in the key demo, and Warner's very, very happy with that. And I do expect them to get a rights increase. How much, that will be interesting to see, but they will be getting more money on this deal than they have been in the past. I expect them to get a deal done, and that'll be a good thing for the industry as a whole, because you want that viable competitor out there. You want them to have the large reach that these networks do, and TBS and TNT. So I think we've expected this, and I think we'll get there eventually. We're just kind of waiting for that final NBA domino to fall for sure.
And I'd say, I agree on all that. And I'd say, the other interesting thing to watch with this is, like, is there a streaming component to what offer they have for either an AEW library of sorts, or specialty like streaming content of some kind for Max or another platform. Like that makes sense. I think WWE has shown that having your content accessible in a lot of different buckets helps, because people are consuming television content in all sorts of ways, whether it's streaming or traditional cable broadcast, like what have you. There's a lot of ways that people find stuff now. So seeing AEW diversify a little bit and having Dynamite on TBS, and something like Collision on TNT, and then some type of library or something on Max, like that, to me that's another element to watch here, is not just what they get, but where are they? Like where are they, and are we going to get a 3-hour Dynamite? I don't know. I think there's some things you might want to shift around if you're them as part of this deal too. So but I mean, viewership is down, but they do rank high, man, and so that matters to networks. It really does, and so they're going to be compensated for that. The streaming component to me is going to be the most interesting, because I agree. If you can land your content on that HBO Max homepage, which is such a popular streaming app, it just Great.
For brand awareness, that is huge. And like to Eddie's point here in the chat about AEW isn't competition. I mean, not on a head-to-head basis. Nobody thinks that. This is a 5-year-old company. They don't have the brand awareness the WWE does. But anything that they can do to get their logo, their product out in front of new eyes is going to help them a lot. Now, they are competition for talent, though, and that is a key point of this, because without AEW, you don't have some of these richer contracts that have come due lately. I mean, we've seen people jump between the sides. Cody Rhodes is not as hot coming into WWE if they didn't have AEW. Jade Cargill was able to cut her teeth before she went over there. And at the same time, we've had Brian, CM Punk probably doesn't come back into the wrestling business at all without AEW.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that movement and then just the leverage that it allows wrestlers to have in their contract negotiations, that's the competition that matters. There's competition in signing people. No, they're not going to beat WWE in the ratings anytime soon. But they are going to be competition for signing key talent because they do have deep pocketbooks, you know. So I mean, they can bid very, very high, and they have for some of these talents.
No question, no question. And I mean, that's like a big thing, though. I mean, it's a big avenue to compete with WWE on. It's like, yeah, they're not going to have the licensing deals. They're not going to do, A&E biographies. Like, I saw this morning that WWE has now partnered up and with a golf merch company to like have like NWO covers on golf clubs and drivers and things of that nature. It's like that's not going to be AEW. That's not their business model right now.
Yeah.
WWE is in full blown. We'll license anything if the price is right. That's not it. That's not AEW, but they can compete for talent. And like television rights is a big part of what they do business wise. And so, they're not going to get $1 billion. They're not going to get, I don't think they will get, what WWE has secured for SmackDown, but there's only so much, TV revenue out there to go get. And so, AEW's taking a piece of that pie. It's going to be a bigger piece than last time. So that's progress. Can they do more to like grow ratings wise? Sure. And we talk about that all the time. But, in terms of like this deal, this is very important to the future of that business, that this deal is one that they like and one that can sustain them for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, yeah, you got a well-oiled machine on one side. You got a startup, essentially, still a 5-year-old company who has done awesome things in that 5 years. And I just get so frustrated when I see some of these bad faith actors on social media who are like rooting for one company or over the other. And it's like, do you know how ignorant it is to root against AEW? Like if AEW went out of business, which I don't think is going to happen anytime soon, but if they did, that WWE locker room would be devastated because they just lost their best bargaining chip. These wrestlers do not get any retirement. They have no long-term benefits. All they have is what they can capitalize on when they're in the ring and then post-retirement. And so they want to get rich deals. And it's not going to happen if you don't have a viable alternative that can offer maybe not the same viewership, but that doesn't matter to them. What matters is that pocketbook, and they can offer you the money, and that's going to drive up prices. And even if they're not competing with WWE as far as like eyeballs go, quality wise, to hardcore fans, they can. And certainly if you look back at WWE's product prior to AEW's launch, it was hot garbage. Zach, we were podcasting. It was horrible covering WWE shows prior to AEW. You see all the stuff about, AEW attendance. That was WWE for years before the pandemic. They were covering up half of the arena with tarps because their shows absolutely stunk. So the idea that you have it is a competitor in some ways out there to push them to have better shows has only helped the industry. And it's certainly helped WWE with the quality of their shows because they had gotten real lazy. And I mean, pre-2019, there are very, very few WWE shows I would go back and watch. Very few of them.
No question. No. I mean, there's just no debate. There's just no debate.
There's no debate.
On that. It's just facts. I mean, we all were there. You can go read covers that I did, that you did, that Wade did, and Dave, and whatever. Like it, they were not good.
Dire. No.
Yeah, and yeah, it's just you don't have to like AEW. You don't have to like WWE. Whatever.
Yeah.
Like it, don't like it, but it's good for the industry to have both of them rocking and rolling. And I think, look, AEW to me is at a bit of a valley right now, not a peak. But again, they're 5 years old, and you're not going to be at a peak your entire existence as a company. WWE wasn't. All the old wrestling promotions in the territory days had their ups and downs too. It's part of the game. It's part of the entertainment industry in general. It's a part of pro wrestling, certainly. And so, yeah, they're in a bit of a valley right now, but it doesn't take all value away from what they do and what they bring to the industry. And so, as long as they don't go out of business, and again, that's not in the cards here. This is good. This is a good thing for AEW, and it's a good thing for pro wrestling. And hopefully, it's a really rich deal, a really rich TV deal. And then look out. Maybe Becky Lynch is going to get that bag or something. Who knows? Who knows what could happen? But they need it. All that said, like, they need a home run on this deal. They've been building towards this moment, and so if they don't get it, then okay, a little bit of a different analysis here. But I think that they will, and they need a home run.
Yeah, well said. Absolutely. All right, so we'll be talking more about this throughout the week. If any new information breaks, tomorrow we'll be covering Dynamite, previewing the show. You can find us again at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Central. Zach, before we head on out of here, anything you want to promote for Brass Ring?
Yes, we'll be live tonight. Our flagship show is tonight, 8:30 Eastern, on our YouTube channel. So check us out. Come hang out tonight. We're going to talk a little bit more in depth on CM Punk is the plan and what his future looks like in WWE now that he's cleared. We'll also take a look at Blood and Guts and talk a little bit in depth about that, where they've hit, where they've missed on that. And then also look at a little bit of NXT tonight as well. So busy night on the Brass Ring Media YouTube channel. Check it out. Go over there, subscribe, check out some of our videos. If you can, hit like on them, and helps us out. But hopefully we see you guys 8:30 Eastern tonight over there.
Awesome. Good stuff as always. You can check me out on Top Rope Nation. We'll be live on Thursday night with our weekly flagship. We also have a Facebook group if you want to talk pro wrestling with some of the Top Rope Nation listeners, and a great cast of characters. Zach's over there as well. About 350 people. If you search Top Rope Nation Pro Wrestling Discussion, you can get in our Facebook group. A lot of dialogue happening there each and every day. You can follow me on social media at Ryan Droste. You can find Zach at Zach_Heydorn. And of course, become a member of One True Sport. Bonus content available, onetruesport.com. Access to some of the biggest legends in the history of pro wrestling. Check out the channel. There's more coming very, very soon. Subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss the content from Arn Anderson, from Rob Van Dam, from Medusa, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, Kurt Angle, and many more. Stick around. There's a lot of stuff here at One True Sport. Guys, this has been a lot of fun. We will catch you all tomorrow morning. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow.